Well, Ellen Burstyn, congratulations on Flowers in the Attic. It was the #1 cable movie this past year.
That's
And
what I hear.
what this is just a ruthless character that you get to play in these two movies, the other one debuting next week. How do you brush that kind of a character off after you've been playing her all day?
Oh, that's not hard. It it's not the shoes I want to wear, so I step out of them at the end of the day.
And the success of it, I mean, did it catch you by surprise? I mean, it's got this cult following. That novel's been around for decades. I mean, had you already agreed to do a sequel when you did the first one, or was that just a pleasant sort of surprise after the fact?
Well, when I did the first one, they told me they were writing the second one. While we were shooting, they were writing the second one, so I hadn't yet agreed to do it.
Oh, so you had them over a barrel when they...
I didn't think of it that way.
Or maybe they would have called Louise Fletcher up to do it if you hadn't, agreed so readily. Did you see the original film that she did, the grandmother?
I didn't. I never liked to see somebody else's version of a part I'm playing. I wouldn't look at it, no matter who it was.
Right. Well, sometimes you don't know. You're going to be. I mean, I guess you'd probably seen the film maybe of Picnic or even the stage play before you'd done that on stage a couple of years ago.
Well, I had seen Picnic, but it was so many years ago that I didn't remember anything but Kim Novak and William Holden. I didn't remember any of the other characters. It was many years before.
That's right, Bill Holden with his shirt off. So.
Right.
And you've got the sequel, Petals on the Wind, debuting on Memorial Day. Where does the story take us now?
Well, it's 10 years later than Flowers in the Attic, and it's very complicated to explain. It focuses on my granddaughter, played by Rose McIver, and her mother, Heather Graham, plays that character. She goes a bit batty. I won't tell you. I won't spoil the fun for you. But and the Rose McIver character, my granddaughter, decides to get revenge on her mother, and that leads to all kinds of complications. I have had a stroke. I'm in bed in a bald cap and aging makeup and stroke makeup. Spent 4 hours a day in the makeup chair getting as ugly as they could possibly make me. And I'm in bed, and you don't want to know how it ends, do you? I won't go in.
No, that's what everyone's looking forward to next week. And that's going to be running through Emmy voting season, as is your arc on Louis, which is, I mean, talk about versatility. Can you tease us a little bit of that? I mean, I guess in the episodes that have aired, we've seen glimpses of your character, but I know there's a meaty storyline to come, isn't there, on Louis?
Well, Louis is a very odd show. Louis C.K. himself is a very inventive person, and so what you think you're shooting when you see it, it's a little different than you thought. For instance, on the show this past week, I worked for 6 weeks on that blasted piano playing and song, and then on the first take, I almost got through it, and then I went, oh no, I missed it, I'll do it again. That was an outtake. I then did it again and did it perfectly, but he didn't use that. He used the outtake where I said, I missed it, I'll do it again. So it was a surprise to me when I saw that. I had worked so hard to get that song right. So it's always a little surprise how he cuts it together, where you end up in the story, because he shoots a whole season and then cuts them together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before he hands them in to FX, he shoots everything and edits it and then hands it in. So what could turn out to be a whole episode gets caught up and strung out, so it's pieces of it are in different episodes. So it's a surprise when you see his show after shooting it.
Well,
He's wonderful.
As Paul mentioned, you're going to be on the Emmy ballot several times this summer. You're a defending Emmy champion. You won just last year. Take us back to that night of winning for Political Animals.
Well, I was very pleased because I love the show Political Animals, and I was very disappointed that they didn't order more. We shot 6, and we hoped that they were going to order more, and they didn't. And it's not that they didn't love the show, they did, but it just didn't have the ratings. Of course, it was opposite Breaking Bad, and 4 of the 6 weeks, I think 4, several of the 6 weeks we were opposite not only Breaking Bad, but the Olympics. So I'm not surprised that we didn't have good numbers, and I kept hoping that they would give us another chance and order some more, but they didn't. So I was glad that the show got at least the recognition of my character, which was a very fun character. I loved playing Margaret.
And you had a little fun in that acceptance speech, as I recall, because you kind of referenced something that us awards nuts call the Ellen Burstyn rule. So, how had you been made aware of that the TV Academy, back when you were nominated for the Gene Harris film, came up with that new 5% rule for appearance time? How had that come onto your radar?
Oh, I knew right away. I thought it was kind of historic for there to be such a thing as the Ellen Burstyn rule. I added that to my bio. It's just those things happen, and you can't do anything about it. You don't know anything about it till it's too late. And I made a joke and said because I think I was only in a certain amount of seconds or minutes.
Right. Yeah.
And I made a joke that my ambition was to be nominated for something I didn't even appear in.
Well, of course, the reason you were in the Annette Bening version was because you'd done the telefilm 30 plus years ago when you one of your first Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
We're talking about Louie, and that would be where you'd be up for guest comedy actress. But I'd like to take you back just 5 years ago when you win for guest drama actress for Law and Order SVU, and that SVU is an Emmy magnet. People like Anne Margaret win their first Emmy for guesting on it. And the night you win that, you join this very exclusive club that we call the Triple Crown of acting, because you've got an Oscar and a Tony and now an Emmy. Did you have any sense of that was sort of were you even there that night back in 2000?
Well, that particular category was given out the night before.
That's
or maybe a week before. I don't remember how much before. And then whoever wins that category gets to be a presenter at the Emmys. So I was present when they gave out the award. We're back.
Sorry, we cut off for just a second.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think we're still live, though. Yeah, we're still live. Go ahead and finish your story about SVU. That was very interesting.
I love that show. I played a character that had a lot of mental problems, and I investigated and researched that illness that she had. She was bipolar, and I found it so interesting, the response of people who saw it, who felt that that their story was finally told of what it's like to be bipolar. It's to me one of the interesting things about being an actress is how you get to tell people stories that aren't too often told, and hearing from the people how they receive that, what it means to them. So that was one of them that I really I felt I had done something for people when I did that. As far as getting the Emmy, I don't know. I think they intend to write stories for actresses to get Emmys on that show. I think it's one of the things that they reach for and mean to do and succeed in doing it.
Well, they do a really good job. They've won quite a few guest acting Emmys, and well, as Paul mentioned, you've got the Emmy, you've got the Oscar, you've got the Tony. You're just a Grammy away from that really exclusive EGOT club.
I know, and I've been nominated for a Grammy once, you know, for spoken word. So it is my intention to figure out some way to get that Grammy so that I have them all.
Well, Chris, you've got a great idea.
Several people have won the actors have won their Grammy with the spoken word, like an audio CD. We think you ought to read The Flowers in the Attic as an audio CD and win the Grammy.
Oh, that's a good idea. All right, I'll look into that.
You mentioned that you were able to be at the Emmys, and if I could just take you back to April 1975, when you're nominated for the third time for an Academy Award, and I think you were really the front runner, but you couldn't go. It was on a Tuesday night, and instead you were committing yourself to a Broadway play same time next year, which I guess the consolation prize of not being there for the Oscar is just a couple of weeks later you win the Tony Award. I mean, nobody had done that since Audrey Hepburn winning an Oscar and a Tony in sort of the same year. So can you just talk about both those awards and what each meant to you?
Well, you know, at that point in my life, I was sort of trying to understand fame and what it means and what it does to you and how to deal with it and how to not get consumed by it. And the fact that I was doing a play that I liked very much, that was very successful, and people had to wait in line to get in and had to get their tickets weeks or months ahead of time, and I would have had to miss a performance. So for me, it was really a question of what was the, I hate to use the word moral. I don't even mean moral. I just meant for my own character. What were my values? Did I value the work or the prize? Yeah. And I just couldn't stand to be the person who valued the prize more than the work. So I stayed on Broadway and did my work.
And like I was saying to Chris, it's such a shame because the next year they moved the Oscars from Tuesday night back to Monday. So if they'd only had it on the Monday night, you could have gone.
I could have gone. Although I'll tell you, doing a Broadway play takes an awful lot of energy. Flying out from New York, doing that, coming back and going on stage, it's questionable whether it's a good, healthy idea.
But I guess they a few years later, you're one of the co-hosts of the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Was that, I mean, was that something you'd ever thought you'd end up doing?
No, it wasn't, and it was a kind of odd thing to do, I must say. I don't think we were very successful, as I recall. People didn't like that Academy Awards very well.
Oh.
When you first started going to the Oscars, up through your most recent nomination, which was for the 2000 film Requiem for a Dream, what's your opinion on how that whole ceremony, that whole event has changed?
Well, it's gotten to be much, how can I say, louder and bigger and more. You know, when the Oscars were first presented at the very beginning, long before my time, it was a dinner, and people sat and gave a prize to the best work of the year. Now it's been turned into this gigantic television event and fashion show, and everybody's wearing borrowed clothes and borrowed jewelry, and the scene outside as you approach is just mammoth people screaming, and it's gotten into a kind of circus atmosphere. It's not the kind of atmosphere that I particularly like. On the other hand, I love the awards. It's fun to get an award. So I have mixed feelings about it. You know, it's a difficult evening to go through in a way, and at the same time, it's wonderful. So there's pros and cons about it. I always feel bad for the people who did a really good job and got a nomination, and they walk away feeling like a loser. That always bothered me.
Well, I'm wondering, we just had Whoopi Goldberg on yesterday, and we asked her this same question. You've been an Oscar voter a long time. What kind of performance, what are you looking for when you're marking your ballot? What's going to get Ellen Burstyn's attention?
For Oscar or Tony?
Well, either one, Oscars and Tonys.
Well, for instance, this year for the Tonys, Mark Rylance appeared and is nominated for both the leading actor and the supporting actor for his Shakespearean work. And I think he's the finest actor on the stage in the English-speaking world. And I hope that he wins both of them because he deserves it. And there's nobody acting that I know of that does what he does. He's so original, and there's just nobody like him. So I would be voting for him. Now, I don't think I'm supposed to tell my vote. I'm supposed to say that. I take that back.
We won't tell anybody.
Okay, but you know, when you ask me what I'm looking for, I look for somebody like him who is unique and whose work is really special. Nobody else does what he does.
And on Oscars, you don't have to give specific names if you don't want to, although you certainly could.
Well, I was glad that Matthew McConaughey won last year. I thought that was a really interesting, unique, deep, well played, well thought out, and meaningful performance. I was very happy that he won. I like deep work. I like work that takes you deep inside a human being, so you see another aspect of what it means to be a human being, that the actor has really done some inner exploration and found the character with his own personal understanding and can enlighten us the way he shows it. That's what I like.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say we really appreciate your time today. I know you've got a busy day promoting Petals on the Wind next week, and you know, we think you might be a back-to-back Emmy winner. You've got really two diverse projects that are going to be in front of Emmy voters with Louis and with these Lifetime movies, and good luck with that.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you both.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.